Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to another episode of KeyThoughts, my musings on this game of KeyForge. And this week I just wanted to check in, just see how everyone's doing. How's everyone's morale? I know that some news came out the previous weeks that had some people feeling some kind of way. But we're moving on. Moving forward. The game is still alive. It's still going forward. New sets are being developed, and we should rejoice in that. Frustrations exist. We will acknowledge them. And you know what? Life goes on. And KeyForge goes on as well, and that is the main thing that we need to focus on. But that is not the point of this conversation today. Today, I actually wanted to talk about... How do I phrase this? Well, a couple things. So I've been playing some Coda and other things because if people remember, I said I had a goal of making sure I play all my decks. One cool thing about playing decks is you start to see, oh, this is neat, or this is not fun. And yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned this here or not, but I played a deck in my ABR league that I did not like. It was a good deck. It had all the right stats, had done things, but it no longer, I felt, held up to the meta, and it was a Coda deck. And the main thing I realized with this Coda deck is there are some houses in Coda that I no longer enjoy playing. The evolution of the game has brought me to a place where I don't want to play these types of houses. Actually, it's not even a deck, it's a house. And this main house is actually Shadows, believe it or not. I don't find Coda Shadows enjoyable anymore. I don't know what it is. I think it holds a purpose, and it can be a splash house within the deck. Splash house, that's not the right word. It can be like a support house within a deck that you maybe do a little burst of steel here and there. But I don't want to play that type of game anymore. I realized that the Brobnar and Mars in Coda is where I have the most enjoyment. I still like Untamed, but when you get like the Untamed Dis Shadows decks that existed and were super powerful, I don't like those. Like I find it, I understand what it wants to do and I know what I should be doing, but I find myself not engaged in the process of executing the plan. So I'm left here just with this milquetoast feeling of KeyForge. Like it's not invigorating, it's not exciting, doesn't get me juiced to be flipping those keys. So I've kind of shifted my Coda focus to these really cool Brobnar fight and game Ember decks, or destroy your enemy creatures, gain Ember decks. Those are the ones I'm really into them. Like I genuinely love playing them. And then I'm liking these Mars shenanigans, which are kind of operating in a Star Alliance sort of way, but insularly in Mars for the most part. I'm talking about John Smith. Bought a deck specifically for this reason. I think I mentioned it somewhere. I don't know if it was here or on Help from Future Self, but it was a 12 creature Mars deck with I think 3 or 4 John Smiths and some house cheat. It was great. Like it was awesome. It's such a fun deck to play. Not highly rated, but all this process, the coaches collection, the realization that I don't enjoy Shadows as much, Dis not so much as Shadows, but like the combination of those three are really not doing it for me right now. And the great realization most recently is my diving into Alliance, and the fact that I can take a great Shadows house and remove it from a deck to put in something more interesting like this Brobnar fight I was talking about, just to switch a deck up. And so maybe a deck I loved in the past that I've now outgrown just to the meta, to my own style of KeyForge enjoyment, I can now actually take that deck and swap out one house, put a new one in, and have a completely new experience. And this is what I'm realizing is one of the great aspects of Alliance. And I'm actually going to be spending a lot of time talking about Alliance moving forward. It's not going to dominate every single thing I do here, but I do feel it's important to have discussions and share my thoughts on it for a few reasons, and that's what I'm going to outline here. And this is kind of the main point of today's episode. The reason I want to talk about Alliance more is because there is such a division and resistance to this new format. And I think I want to try and present perspectives on Alliance that can allow everyone to get on board with it in one form or another. Now, I think the hardest way to convince people to play Alliance is at the premier level. That is the ones that Ghost Galaxy are hosting. You travel to, the spiciest sauce is coming out. And that, I think, is the hardest. And a few people have actually already mentioned that they think on the casual level, they're really into Alliance. So at the store level, having an abundance of Alliance, I think, is a very good thing. One, you have more control over the play experience and are going to run into less crazy decks, I think, as a general rule. Two, I think that is where you can pull in new players. And I think that is the most important place to bring in players who didn't like KeyForge based on the way it worked before, which is, you know, having to be stuck with what you get. I think people like to have the autonomy of swapping things out, and swapping a whole house out is better than just individual cards from a KeyForge player's perspective. But from these external players who don't play KeyForge, it just provides an avenue for them to maybe get into the game. We can open that door, provide that gateway drug, so to speak, and hopefully hook them into KeyForge, and they appreciate the ability to have to solve a puzzle rather than just build something that is shown. So I think at the store level, the abundance of Alliance is great if it's going to bring in more players, because that is the first entry. Like, people aren't just going to jump into a Vault Tour style event. They're going to actually come to the stores first, test it out, a place where they're already frequenting and already enjoy games. And so this is why you need to create that opportunity for people come, like, talk to people that are like, hey, have you played KeyForge? No. Have you heard of it? Yes. Why don't you want to play with us? Well, I don't want to get into another game. Fair enough. Well, I don't like that I can't build decks. Like, why don't I have control? Boom. Now you talk about Alliance. Come play an Alliance with us. Seriously, you'll have a great time. Okay, fine. Get someone in that way. Maybe even just jam a game with them. But having that quote unquote like grassroots style of experience in your store level is going to really what makes a difference and helps our game grow. And from there, you can really let people sample a new style of KeyForge. Not to mention, it provides the way for you to enjoy decks that you've played before and maybe have outgrown for various reasons. I listed some today. And just provide that new experience. So that is really what I want everyone to think about. Go visit your old decks. Find out decks that you're like, you know what, I haven't played this in a while. Play it as is and see like, oh, I really like this still. Or, you know what, I don't like playing KeyForge this way anymore. Like, just throwing cards out of my deck on the table and gaining Ember is not the experience I'm looking for. Cool. Take out an aspect of that, put in a board-based house, change it up to do something different. I'm really on this exploration of Coda right now. I feel the set is lacking things for me, but there's also things that I love about it. So I'm trying to find this balance within it, and Brobnar has really been the answer for me. So I just want everyone to take a moment to consider this and go look at Alliance and start defining how you want to play, because it's going to exist. And now the key is find a way that you can get enjoyment out of it. What does that mean to you? Is it literally grabbing 3 random houses from the same set and putting them together and just having a completely sealed style experience where you're seeing how things happen? Is it really articulating a tool chest of a deck? Is it maybe just finding a deck that you're like, I really don't like this one house, so I'm going to swap it out with something else and play a deck that I enjoy except for this one aspect? Is it even maybe just like deciding to take something that you know really well and provide a new element, so there's that familiarity plus something new added to it, so it creates a more exciting potential play style? Think about this. I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about this? What are your true thoughts on Alliance? If you're a huge anti-Alliance person, are you coming around? Am I doing anything to sway your perspective to consider it in a different manner? Please let me know below in the comments, and please share this video with others. Like, I really want to expand this Alliance discussion out. And of course, folks, May your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.